At that time, there was no avenue to lobby or advocate for certain business practices without Board of Trades. There wasn't.
Before Kelowna became one of Canada's fastest-growing cities, it was a small community of only 600 people. In 1906, a group of business leaders came together with the purpose of promoting the general agricultural and commercial progress of the Okanagan tributary to Kelowna. That moment marked the beginning of the Kelowna Board of Trade, what would eventually become the Kelowna Chamber of Commerce. The early chamber formed out of necessity. Business owners faced major challenges like transportation barriers, limited access to markets, global crises, and the need for coordinated advocacy.
Transportation in the Kelowna area was a real problem. The closest rail line going to Vancouver was the Kelowna Valley Railway, and the closest station was Carmi past Big White.
Kelowna did not get their own train service until 1925 and was really the smallest and least important of all the valley communities and the only one who had to deal with getting across the lake.
Business people in Kelowna realized that by coming together, they could help the city grow and effect change in key economic sectors.
Without the Board of Trade, you would have not seen a lot of the growth that happened here. So I applaud those early people that started the Board of Trade.
In these early meetings, Kelowna's first policies and priorities were set, laying the foundation for decades of growth.
Kelowna was sort of ignored by Victoria.
The Board of Trade always tried to lobby, say, this is not fair, we're one country. So that advocacy was paramount to helping industry in Kelowna.
Kelowna's earliest industries shaped the city's identity. By 1910, Kelowna was already known as the Orchard City.
Agriculture was so paramount to the region's development because at that time you didn't get imported stuff from Mexico or much from California. So if you didn't grow it, you didn't eat it. There's not a whole bunch of places in Canada that you can grow fruit. When you look at the Okanagan Valley and how it's situated with the lake and how the air comes down, it would be a very successful industry.
Less known today, but vital at the time, was the growth and distribution of tobacco.
So we had a huge tobacco industry here, huge.
There was a promoter who came in town from the States who said this was just the best land ever for growing tobacco. And he kept it going for quite a while.
In 1913, the British North American Tobacco Company established operations here, led by its president, Alfred W. Bowser. That same year, Bowser also served as president of the Kelowna Board of Trade.
Where B&A restaurant is now, that was where they rolled the cigars and made the cigarettes. We were producing 800,000 cigars a year out of the Kelowna area.
Though this venture came grinding to a halt just 1 year later due to lack of profitability.
There was a little bit of hanky-panky with the books. It didn't disappear because the product wasn't good. It disappeared because somebody was walking off with the funds.
Forestry provided jobs and fueled growth, guided by chamber-led advocacy, including a 1944 proposal to the provincial government calling for stronger, better funded and sustainable forest management.
Out of the orchards, the sawmill industry grew because if you have orchards, you need lumber, you need boxes. More boxes were built in the Okanagan than anywhere else in Canada, certainly, and probably the world. So one business supported the other.
Long before bridges or highways, Okanagan Lake was Kelowna's gateway to coastal British Columbia. Steamships carried cargo and passengers south to Penticton and onward toward the Hope-Princeton route, linking the valley to the wider world.
If you wanted to get anywhere beyond Kelowna, You really had to take a stern wheel or a paddle wheeler. All the fruit that went out of Kelowna went out as freight on the paddle wheelers until we got our own train station. It wasn't until 1949 that the whole Princeton Road went in. So before then, if you wanted to travel to Vancouver by car or truck, it took you 2 days.
Through it all, the Chamber helped these industries thrive by advocating for major infrastructure like the Okanagan Connector decades later, promoting tourism through strip map advertising in the 1930s, and guiding businesses through uncertain times. Together, these efforts catalyzed Kelowna into a major player in British Columbia's interior. The first half of the 20th century brought immense hardships. World War I, the Great Depression, and World War II strained small communities across Canada.
Kelowna had some rough times during both wars, and the Depression was a really tough time in Kelowna. When the First World War broke out, many of the young men who had come here simply turned around and went back and fought in that war and never returned.
During these difficult years, the Chamber was an invaluable support network. They helped arrange the distribution of key resources during wartime, petitioned for tariffs to protect farmers from global competition, and continued to market Kelowna as a priceless destination to visitors. The resilience forged during this period shaped the Chamber's role as a stabilizing force in tough times.
I think it's the constitution of the Chamber. How can the Chamber be an advocate or a voice to make it more successful or easier for businesses to survive? You know, every decade have different challenges. And again, the Chamber saw the obstacles that were being presented and used their united voice to, help the community thrive.
From 1906 to 1956, Kelowna underwent numerous changes. The Canadian Pacific Railway expanded the region's ability to move goods. The development of the Kelowna Airport connected the valley to the world beyond, which the Chamber fought for decades before it was constructed. And the first wave of downtown revitalization transformed what was a small lakeside settlement into the city we know today.
I suspect that the Board of Trade and City Council spent a lot of effort lobbying to make things better, because everything was another step to get beyond Kelowna.
In each of these pivotal moments, the Chamber played a big part in advocating, organizing, and championing progress.
Sometimes higher level governments don't realize what local small areas have to offer, so it's up to organizations like boards of trade or Chamber of Commerce to say, no, we have a stake over here.
In its first 50 years, the Chamber helped build the backbone of a small but ambitious community. As industries began planting roots and Kelowna started to resemble its modern depiction, the Chamber continued to advocate for what was best for local businesses.
I think the Chamber's goal has always been to have a voice for business, particularly small business. By belonging to the Chamber, they have a united voice, because there's others that have a similar sort of challenge in their businesses.
I think today's people who live here need to know that the people came before them took a risk coming here, and they thrived. I think there was much more optimism in the past about our community and about how we live. I think if that was the message of the people who came before us and they created this, then we owe it to them to have the same kind of optimism going forward.
The challenges may have changed, but the approach has not. A united voice, built on optimism, continues to shape what comes next. This is the story of the Chamber's founding 50.